The night was silent, broken only by the sound of boots pressing against ash and dust. A lone human soldier walked through the ruins of a forgotten battlefield. His rifle hung heavy in his hands, his helmet scratched, his armor covered with scars of fire. The world around him was dead. Only the smell of smoke and iron remained. Every step he took echoed through the broken metal walls of collapsed ships. He was tired, his eyes burned with exhaustion, but he kept moving. In war there was no rest, only the next mission, only the next shadow. He raised his flashlight, its weak beam cutting through the darkness. The light moved over shattered machines and burnt alien corpses. He hated this place, hated the silence that made him feel he was the only living soul left. But orders were orders. He had to search for survivors or enemies hiding in the dark. Then he heard it. A sound soft but clear, like a whisper carried by the wind. His heart froze. His finger tightened on the trigger. The sound came again. A voice, weak, trembling. Not human. The soldier swung his light toward a broken wall. There, in the shadows, something moved. He stepped closer, rifle aimed, his breath held. From behind the wreckage, a figure appeared, crawling slowly, hands raised in surrender. It was not a soldier, not in armor, but an alien woman, her skin pale and glowing faintly under the light. Her eyes were large, filled with fear, and something strange, something like pleading. Her body shook with weakness, her clothes torn, her wounds glowing with faint light. She looked nothing like the warriors he had fought, nothing like the monsters who had killed his friends. She looked fragile, almost human in her fear. The soldier kept his weapon pointed at her chest. "Don't move," he said coldly, his voice steady though his heart raced. The alien woman raised her trembling hands higher. Her voice came, soft, broken, almost like a child begging for life. "Don't shoot me, human. Let me live, and I'll give you a family." The words struck him harder than any bullet. For a moment his hands shook, his mind filled with confusion. What did she mean, family? Why would an alien promise something so strange, so personal? He wanted to pull the trigger, end the risk, silence the enemy, but the look in her eyes stopped him. It was not the look of a killer, it was the look of someone who had nothing left. He took a step closer, the barrel of his rifle still steady. "Why should I believe you?" he asked, his voice rough. The alien woman coughed, her breath heavy. "I am not a fighter," she whispered. "I am not like them." Her words came slow, as if each one cost her pain. "I can give you something no human has now, not in this war, not in this broken world. I can give you family." The soldier's jaw tightened. Memories hit him like fire. Faces he had lost, voices silenced forever. He pushed them down, forced himself to stay sharp. "This is a trick," he muttered. "Another lie from your kind." But her eyes did not change. Her fear did not fade. She looked at him as if he held not just her life, but something greater. The silence grew heavy between them. Only the sound of distant thunder filled the night. The soldier felt the trigger pressing against his finger. One more ounce of pressure, and it would end. But something deep inside refused, something he could not explain. Why did her words matter? Why did the promise of family shake him so deeply? The alien lowered herself slowly to the ground, weak and trembling. Her hands stayed up, her gaze locked on his. "Kill me if you must," she whispered. "But if you do, you will lose what you have been searching for." The soldier's breath caught. He did not know how she could speak those words. How could she know what he had lost, what he had searched for? His light flickered across her wounds, glowing softly like stars. Her body was breaking, but her voice still carried weight, a weight that pulled at the part of him he tried to bury. Minutes passed like hours, his weapon steady, his mind in chaos. Finally, he lowered the barrel, just a little, just enough to show he was listening. Her eyes softened with relief, but fear still trembled in her face. The soldier kept his distance, ready to fire at the first wrong move. But something inside had already changed. He did not fire. He did not walk away. Instead, he waited, trapped in a moment he did not understand. A human and an alien standing on the edge of trust. The ruined night still carried the weight of silence. The soldier's rifle stayed close to his chest, but the barrel no longer pointed directly at her. The alien woman sat weakly against the broken wall, her glowing wounds spreading dim light across the rubble. Her breath was sharp, her hands still raised, but her voice came steady. "I told you, human. I am not like them. I am not a fighter. I am not your enemy." The soldier narrowed his eyes, every instinct screaming that this was a trap. And yet, the way she spoke, the trembling honesty in her tone, held him in place. He took a step back, scanning the ruins for movement, listening for any sound of her allies. Nothing, only the crackle of broken wires and the distant growl of thunder. He turned back, his finger near the trigger, his voice low and dangerous. Explain your words. Why promise me family? Why not beg for freedom like the others I've seen? Why that? The alien lowered her hands slowly, resting them on her chest, her glowing eyes locked on him, unblinking. Because family is what you have lost, human. I can see it in you, the emptiness, the silence in your heart. Her words sliced deep, too precise, too sharp. The soldier's jaw tightened as the image of his wife and child flickered in his mind. He had buried those thoughts long ago, but somehow, this stranger dug them up with a whisper. I don't believe you, he muttered, though his voice lacked strength. The alien tilted her head, her face unreadable, but her voice calm. You don't have to believe me now. You only have to keep me alive, protect me, and I will show you, not in words, but in proof. The soldier studied her in silence, his heart pounding against the walls of his armor. He wanted to shoot, end the danger, but some invisible chain pulled his finger back. What kind of proof? He asked at last, his tone sharp, demanding. The alien shifted painfully, her glowing blood leaving marks on the metal floor. She reached to her side, pulling out a small silver capsule no larger than his palm. It glowed faintly, humming as if alive. She held it up with trembling hands, her voice a whisper carried on fear. This holds what I promise. Inside this is not weapon, not poison, but life. The soldier stepped closer, weapon raised again, his eyes locked on the capsule. Life, he repeated coldly. Your kind calls death life. Your kind burns planets and names it survival. Her lips trembled, but her voice stayed soft. This is different. I am different. I was a scientist. I was studying humans before the war, before my people turned me into an enemy. I saw what was taken from you. I tried to stop it. They punished me for it. Her words tangled in his mind, half believable, half impossible. He tightened his grip on the rifle, but his curiosity pulled him further than his fear. What's inside? He asked, his voice heavy. She closed her eyes for a moment as if summoning strength, then whispered, Seeds of life, human. Seeds that can grow into more than war. Seeds that can give you back what you lost. They can give you family again. The soldier's breath caught. Every part of him wanted to laugh, to call it madness, but the way she clutched that capsule, the way her voice shook, it felt real. He remembered the photo tucked inside his armor, the last picture of his wife and daughter, their smiles frozen in time, and in the silence of that ruined battlefield, the promise of family hung heavier than the smoke of war. He had sworn never to dream again, never to hope, because hope was a weakness in war. And yet here, in the hands of a wounded alien, hope returned like fire, unwanted, but impossible to kill. You're lying, he said, but the words trembled. She looked at him with eyes wide and clear. If I was lying, I would beg for freedom. I would promise you weapons, power, victory, but I do not. I offer you only family, because that is what you hunger for more than anything. The soldier turned away, pacing, his thoughts a storm. He could not trust her. He knew it, and yet, to kill her now felt like killing the last fragile chance at something more than blood and fire. His training told him to finish it. His heart told him to wait. He spun back toward her, his voice sharp. If I help you, if I protect you, what happens when my command finds out? What happens when they see me standing with you? Her voice dropped to a whisper, almost too soft to hear. Then you will have to choose, human, between orders and the last piece of your soul. Her words chilled him more than the night wind. For the first time in years, he felt fear not of death, but of choice. A choice heavier than war, heavier than survival. He hated her for forcing it on him, and yet he could not look away. The soldier lowered his weapon slightly, his eyes locked on the glowing capsule. He did not trust her, he did not trust himself, but something told him that the path forward was no longer in bullets. It was in her trembling hands, and the strange promise of family hidden inside. The ruins around them groaned in the wind, shadows shifting like ghosts. The soldier finally spoke, his voice firm but low. You live, for now, but if you betray me, I will end you. The alien woman bowed her head slowly, relief mixing with exhaustion. I will not betray you, human, she whispered, because you are my only hope, as I am your shit, ours. And so, in the ashes of war, a fragile bargain was made. One born not from trust, but from desperation. One that could either heal a broken soul, or destroy everything left alive. The bunker was old and broken. Rust ate through the walls, wires hung loose from the ceiling, and the air carried the smell of dust and burned metal. The soldier had found it by accident years ago during a patrol. Now, with the alien woman barely able to stand, it became her shelter, her cage, and his prison of choice. He pushed open the heavy door, the metal groaning against its hinges, and guided her inside with his rifle aimed steady. "Sit there," he ordered, pointing toward a corner. The alien obeyed, lowering herself carefully onto the cold floor. She leaned against the wall, her glowing wounds casting faint light across the room. The soldier set his pack down and checked the shadows of the bunker. No movement, no signs of life, only the silence of abandonment. When he was sure they were alone, he turned his eyes back to her. Even in her weakness, she looked strange. Too human in some ways, too alien in others. Her pale skin shimmered faintly, and her eyes glowed as if holding starlight. The soldier kept his weapon close, his body tense. Hours passed, neither spoke, only the sound of his boots pacing and her shallow breathing filled the air. At last she whispered, her voice soft but steady. "You do not trust me, human." He gave her a sharp look, his tone cold. "Trust is a word for fools. I keep you alive only because I want answers." She lowered her gaze, her hands resting on the capsule near her chest. "You will have answers, but not all at once. Some truths can only be given when the time is right." The soldier hated her calmness, hated how she spoke, as if she understood him better than he understood himself. He sat across from her, rifle on his lap, his eyes locked on her very move. The bunker light flickered, then died, leaving only the glow of her wounds in her eyes. In that strange dim light, she looked less like an enemy and more like a ghost. A ghost that carried secrets too heavy for war. At night, as he tried to rest with his back against the wall, he saw it. Her skin began to shift, faint glowing lines spreading like rivers across her arms and neck. They pulsed gently, like veins carrying light instead of blood. He sat up quickly, rifle raised, his voice sharp. "What are you doing?" The alien opened her eyes slowly, the glow inside her body reflecting in her gaze. "This is not an attack," she whispered. "This is what I am, what they made me to be." The soldier narrowed his eyes, his finger close to the trigger. "What are those marks?" Her voice trembled, but not with fear, with memory. "They are the record of my people's sins. Each mark is knowledge, each line is memory. I carry the history of what was done to your world." His chest tightened, anger flickering in his veins. "Then you are part of it, part of the ones who burned my cities, part of the ones who killed my family." Her glowing eyes filled with sorrow, her voice breaking. "I was not there to kill. I was there to study, to understand. I warned them, but they silenced me. They called me traitor. They tried to erase me." The soldier wanted to hate her, wanted to silence her words with a single shot, but something in her trembling voice held him still. "Why tell me this?" he asked bitterly. "Why not lie like the rest of your kind?" She touched the capsule gently, her fingers glowing faintly against the metal. "Because I need you to see me not as enemy, but as broken, like you. Only then can you choose if my life is worth the risk." The soldier turned away, his mind in chaos. The glow of her skin painted the walls with shapes that looked like stars. It reminded him of nights long ago when he lay with his daughter pointing at constellations in the sky. The memory stabbed deeper than any blade. He pressed a hand against his face, forcing the memo. Cry back into silence. But the alien woman's voice pulled him out, soft and haunting. "Your kind always looked up, even when the world below burned. That is why I chose you." He looked at her sharply, suspicion in his voice. "Chose me? What are you talking about?" Her lips curved in something close to a sad smile. "You think I found you by chance, human? But I watched you, I studied you. Even before this night, I saw the way you fought, not for power, not for hate, but for something you lost. You were already searching, even if you did not know it." His chest tightened again, his finger twitching on the rifle. The thought of being studied, followed, made his blood boil. But her words cut deeper than his anger, because they were true. The bunker grew colder as the hours stretched, the silence heavy with secrets. The soldier remained awake, unable to rest, his mind torn between duty and the strange glow in the corner. The alien closed her eyes again, the lines on her skin fading slowly, the bunker returning to shadow, but her last whisper hung in the air long after her voice faded. You can kill me, human, but the darkness you carry will remain, or you can keep me alive, and maybe, just maybe, I will show you how to bring light back. The soldier clenched his jaw, staring at the rifle in his hands. For the first time in years, he was not sure if the weapon gave him strength or if it made him weaker. The night stretched on, filled not with rest, but with questions. Questions that no bullet could answer. The bunker stayed silent through the long hours of night. The soldier did not sleep, his back pressed against the wall, his rifle resting across his knees. Every sound made his pulse quicken. The groan of metal, the drip of water, the shallow breaths of the alien woman. She sat across from him, her head bowed, the silver capsule glowing faintly in her lap. That glow ended him more than her words, more than her strange eyes. It was not the light of a weapon, not the heat of fire, but something alive, something waiting. At last, she raised her head, her voice soft but steady. You wonder what I mean when I speak of family, human? He did not answer, only tightened his grip on the rifle. But his silence was enough, she continued. This capsule holds seeds of life, not plants, not machines, but something greater. Her trembling fingers touched the capsule as if it were sacred. They are not mine, they are not yours, but they can be shaped, they can become, they can give back what you lost. The soldier's jaw clenched, his voice low and bitter. Don't speak of what I lost, you know nothing of it. The alien's eyes glowed in the dim light, sadness heavy in her face. I know enough. I see it in the way you move, in the way you stare at shadows, in the way you cannot sleep. Your heart carries emptiness, human, and I carry the key to fill it. Her words stabbed deeper than any blade. He remembered the laughter of his daughter, the warmth of his wife's hand, the life stolen in a single firestorm. He had buried those memories, locked them away. Because in war, memories were weapons that turned against you, and now, this stranger was tearing them open. He lifted his rifle, aiming at the capsule, his voice sharp. If this is another trick, I'll destroy it. I'll end this right now. The alien woman did not flinch, her voice calm, though her body trembled. If you destroy it, you will never know. You will walk the rest of your days with the same emptiness, the same silence, and when death comes, you will wonder if you could have chosen differently. The soldier's finger froze on the trigger, his heart pounding like a drum. Her words were poison, yet they felt like truth. He lowered the rifle slowly, his eyes locked on the capsule. What's inside? He demanded. Show me. She hesitated, her pale fingers caressing the glowing shell. It is not ready to open, she whispered, but I can show you. A glimpse. Her hand pressed against a hidden mark, and the capsule shivered with light. A seam opened across its surface, and inside, faint glowing orbs pulsed gently like beating hearts. The soldier leaned closer despite himself, his breath caught in his chest. The orbs shimmered, their shapes shifting. For a moment they looked like stars, then like tiny hands reaching out, then like faces blurred in light. He staggered back, shaking his head, his voice hoarse. What is this? What am I seeing? The alien's eyes softened, her voice breaking. You are seeing possibility, human. You are seeing life before it becomes. These seeds can be shaped by memory, by need. They can give you back what you thought lost. His chest tightened painfully, his throat dry. You're saying, you can bring them back. Her gaze locked on his, unflinching. I can give you family, not the same as before, not copies, but new, born from what you carry, from what you remember. They can be yours if you let them grow. The soldier turned away, his mind a storm. He wanted to scream, to curse her, to call it madness, but the image of those glowing shapes burned into his eyes. Hope clawed at him, a cruel hope, the kind that made you weak, the kind that broke soldiers. He pressed his forehead against the cold wall, his voice raw. Why me? Why not give this to someone else? The alien woman's voice came quiet but firm. Because others would use it as weapon. Others would twist it for war. But you fight because you lost, not because you hunger for power. That is why you are the one who must choose. The soldier closed his eyes, his chest heaving. He hated her for knowing him, hated her for speaking truths he buried, but he hated himself more, because deep inside, he wanted to believe her. The capsule closed with a soft hiss, the light dimming back to a faint glow. The alien leaned back against the wall, exhaustion heavy in her face. "I have shown you enough for now," she whispered. "You must decide if you will keep me alive long enough to see the rest. Don't mistake it for kindness. I did it because I need answers, because I need that capsule safe." But even as he said it, his chest ached with the weight of what he had done. He had chosen her over his own brothers in arms. Above, the hunters did not give up. Explosions shook the ruins as they cleared tunnels, grenades blasting shadows, rifles cracking through silence. Dust rained from the bunker ceiling, every blast closer than the last. The soldier cursed under his breath, gripping his rifle. "They'll come back. They won't stop until they find us." The alien touched the capsule, her voice shaking. "Then we must move. We cannot stay. They will destroy this place. They will destroy everything." He wanted to argue, wanted to say staying was safer, but deep down he knew she was right. The hunters were trained, relentless, and they would burn this entire sector if needed. He glanced at her wounds, the weakness in her body. "You can barely walk," he muttered. She met his gaze, determination burning behind her glowing eyes. "Then you must carry me, human. If I fall here, the promise dies with me." His hands tightened on the rifle, anger and fear clashing in his chest. Carrying her meant betraying his command even further. It meant running with the very enemy they were ordered to kill. But the thought of leaving her here, the thought of her capsule crushed under rubble, made his stomach twist. He cursed under his breath again, moving toward her. "Fine, but if you slow me down, I will end this myself." She nodded slowly, weak but steady. "I believe you, but I also believe you will not." He hated her words, hated how certain she sounded. Still, he lifted her carefully, her light body pressing against his armor, the faint glow bleeding through his cloak as he covered her. The capsule hung between them, pulsing gently like a second heartbeat. Above, the hunters shouted, their voices closer now. The soldier adjusted his grip, rifle ready in one hand, the alien clutched in the other. The bunker groaned as dust fell like ash, the storm of footsteps closing in. He took a deep breath, his voice a growl. "Then we run." And with that, man and alien slipped into the maze of ruins, hunted by both war and fate, carrying a promise that could either save them or destroy them all. The ruins stretched wide and endless. Broken towers leaned like bones. Shattered ships lay silent under ash, and smoke drifted through the air like ghosts. The soldier moved fast, his boots kicking up dust, his rifle steady in one hand while the other held the alien close. Her body was light but weak, her breath shallow against his chest, the faint glow of her wounds hidden beneath his cloak. Behind them, the voices of hunters echoed, their lights cutting through the dark, their dogs of war sweeping every corner. Every step was a risk, every shadow a trap, but he kept running, driven by something he could not name. They reached the hollow frame of a collapsed ship, its metal ribs jagged and sharp. Inside, the soldier set her down gently against the wall, his chest rising and falling in heavy breaths. He crouched low, listening for movement, the sound of enemy boots too close, too sharp. The alien woman coughed weakly, her hand clutching the capsule, her voice trembling but steady. "They will not stop, human. They will burn everything just to silence me." The soldier's eyes narrowed, his voice low. "Then speak. Tell me why. Tell me what is inside that thing that makes you worth killing." She looked at him long, her glowing eyes heavy with sorrow.
"You still think it is only about me, but it is not. It is about what I carry, what I know, and what your kind must never discover from anyone else but me." The soldier tightened his grip on his rifle, his voice sharp. "Enough riddles, tell me now, before I lose patience." Her trembling fingers traced the surface of the capsule, the light inside pulsing softly like a heartbeat. "My people studied humans long before this war. We learned things you never knew about yourselves." He froze, suspicion burning in his chest. "What do you mean, studied us? How?" Her voice dropped, soft but filled with weight. "We came not as conquerors first, but as watchers, hidden in your skies, in your oceans. We watched your history, your rise, your pain, and we found something no other race carried, something dangerous and beautiful." The soldier leaned closer despite himself, anger mixing with curiosity. "What did you find?" She met his gaze, unblinking. "Your memory, human, the way your kind remembers pain and love. It is stronger than any weapon, stronger than any army, no other race holds memory as you do. It shapes you, it drives you, it makes you fight even when death is certain. Her words struck like fire. The soldier thought of his daughter's smile, his wife's laugh, the burning of his home, the ache that never left his chest. He had lived every day in memory, fought every battle with ghosts at his side, and now this stranger was telling him his greatest wound was also his greatest weapon. He spoke through clenched teeth. So your people feared us, and they came to destroy us. Her eyes lowered, sorrow in her voice. Yes, they feared what you could become. They feared a race that could turn memory into strength, into rage, into hope. They thought if they broke you, erased what you loved, you would weaken, but they were wrong. The soldier's jaw tightened, his voice sharp. And what is in that capsule? Tell me the truth. She lifted it, the glow brightening. This capsule carries seeds shaped by memory, your memory. It listens, it waits, it can grow into life touched by what you hold inside. It can give you family, yes, but more than that, it can give your kind the power to rise again, to heal what was broken. His chest burned, his hands shook. You mean, these things, they are made from me. She nodded slowly. Not only from you, from all humans we studied, from all that was lost, but you carry something strong, something unbroken even after war. Your memory is the key. The soldier staggered back, his breath unsteady. It was madness, impossible, yet the capsule glowed with a life he could not deny. If it was true, then he was carrying not just a woman, not just a secret, but the future itself. Her voice grew softer, trembling with both fear and hope. I was exiled because I wanted to give this to you, to humans. My people called me traitor. They wanted me silenced, and now they will burn worlds just to erase me. The soldier's eyes hardened. And if I believe you, what then? What happens if I protect you? She met his gaze, her voice like a whisper of fire. Then you will choose, human, you will choose if your kind rises with memory, or dies with silence. Outside, the hunters' voices grew louder, flashlights cutting through cracks in the wreckage. The soldier lifted his rifle, his heart pounding, his mind torn between duty and the weight of revelation. He glanced at the alien woman, pale and broken but burning with conviction, the capsule glowing like a second sun in her hands. For years, he thought war had taken everything, that he was only a weapon with no purpose but killing. But now, here in the shadows of ruin, he faced a truth larger than war itself. He whispered under his breath, almost to himself, maybe you are hope. Or maybe you are a curse. The alien woman closed her eyes, her voice soft. Sometimes hope and curse are the same, human, but they are better than nothing.
The soldier gritted his teeth, the sound of hunters drawing near. He raised his rifle, his muscles tense. Whatever lay ahead, the truth was no longer hidden in shadows. It burned in his chest. It glowed in her hands, and it would not be silenced. The night stretched heavy over the ruins. Shadows crawled between broken towers. Smoke drifted in cold winds, and the sound of hunters moved closer with every heartbeat. The soldier crouched low, rifle steady. The alien woman pressed against the wall beside him, her capsule glowing faintly under her cloak. Her breath was weak, but her eyes held fire. You must decide soon, human, she whispered, because they will find us, and when they do, no choice will remain. The soldier's chest burned, his mind torn in two. On one side, his orders, his oath, the faces of his fallen brothers demanding loyalty. On the other side, the capsule glowing with a promise too dangerous to ignore, a promise of family, of memory reborn. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, seeing his daughter's smile in the dark, hearing her laugh echo through the silence. He opened them again with a growl, gripping his rifle tight. This is madness, he muttered. Trusting you means betraying everything I was, everything I am. The alien's voice trembled but remained steady. Then perhaps what you are is already broken, and what you can be waits inside this choice. The sound of boots thundered above, light sweeping across rubble, the hunters calling out to each other. Sector clear. Check below. She has to be close. The soldier's pulse hammered, his finger brushing the trigger. He looked at the alien, then at the capsule, his jaw clenched hard. Even if what you say is true, what happens if you're wrong? What if these seeds bring death instead of life? Her glowing eyes locked on his, unblinking. Then you kill me, and you destroy it, but not before you see, with your own eyes. The words cut through him like fire. She was not begging anymore. She was daring him, giving him power he had not felt in years. For the first time, the choice was his. Not orders, not war, his. The bunker shook as grenades blasted the ruins outside, dust raining from above. The soldier pulled her close, his voice a growl. If we're doing this, then we run now. Her lips curved into the smallest broken smile. Then you have chosen, human. He hated the way her words felt like truth, but he moved anyway. He lifted her in his arms once more, covering her glow with his cloak, the capsule clutched tight against her chest. The sound of hunters roared behind them as they slipped through a collapsed tunnel. Bullets sparked against metal. Voices shouted, "There! Don't let them escape!" The soldier fired back, short bursts of light cutting through the dark. His training guided every step, every shot. But this time, he wasn't protecting command or mission. He was protecting something else. Something fragile. The alien clung to him, whispering through the chaos. Left. There's a way through the wreckage. He trusted her words, moving where she guided, their breaths sharp, their hearts beating as one. At last they reached open ground, the ruins stretching into a valley of broken ships. The moonlight revealed shadows of more hunters closing in from both sides. The soldier stopped, his chest heaving, sweat dripping down his face. They were surrounded, no way out. The alien's voice came soft, almost calm. This is where the choice must be made. He turned to her sharply, his voice harsh. What choice? We're trapped. Her hand pressed against the capsule, the glow brightening. You can give me to them, end this, walk away alive, or you can trust me now, open the capsule and change everything. The soldier's breath caught, his rifle heavy in his hands. His mind screamed at him to hand her over, to survive, to return to orders. But his heart, his broken heart, heard another voice, the laughter of his daughter, the memory of family, the promise that maybe, just maybe, he could have that again. He looked into her glowing eyes, saw no lies, only the same fear and hope burning inside himself. The hunters raised their rifles, shouting for surrender. The soldier's finger brushed the trigger, then pulled away. Instead, he grabbed the capsule from her trembling hands. The alien gasped, her voice a whisper of both fear and faith. Human, once you open it, there is no going back. He held it tight, the glow spilling between his fingers, his jaw set. Then let's see the truth. The capsule hissed, light bursting into the air. The hunters froze, their rifles lowering as the glow spread like a wave. Inside the light, shapes began to form, not weapons, not monsters, but children. Glowing outlines of life, faces half-formed but filled with warmth. The soldier's breath shook, his knees weak. One shape reached toward him, small fingers glowing in the air. For a moment he saw his daughter, her smile alive again in the light. The hunters stared in silence, their orders forgotten. The alien whispered, tears glowing in her eyes. This is what I promised. Not destruction, not war, but family, hope born from memory. The soldier's rifle slipped from his hand, clattering to the ground. His choice was made. He had betrayed his orders, betrayed his kind. But for the first time in years, he felt alive. The hunters raised their weapons again, voices shouting, the spell of light broken. The alien gripped his arm, her voice firm. Run, human! Now you must protect it, no matter the cost. The soldier tightened his grip on the capsule, the glowing children fading back into light. He lifted the alien once more, his legs carrying them into the shadows of the ruins. Behind them, bullets tore the night, explosions shook the ground. But he did not stop, because now the war was no longer about orders, no longer about survival. It was about a promise, a family, and a choice that could change the fate of all mankind.